What's goody with you all today? My name is Reiji, and today I wanted to take a look at the upcoming new Yu-Gi-Oh set, Darkwing Blast. When this set was initially revealed to us in the OCG and in the TCG, I was actually really surprised, both in a good way and a curious way. My initial reaction was, yo, new Blackwing support, let's go! And that's the part that had me excited the most. Now, Blackwings are a deck that I started playing only quite recently in this last year for the first time. I made a whole video about it in Master Duel and everything, but I've also been playing it in the TCG ever since that video because they're genuinely just such a cool archetype to play. They can do so much, and I said it in my Blackwing video, but I can see why this deck used to be so threatening back in its prime. But beyond Blackwings, we actually have confirmation of some other new archetypes that are coming our way with the set, with the Bysteed and, I'm gonna butcher this, Kshatrila archetypes that are looking really cool too. So let's take a bit of a closer look at this set together. I actually think this might be a really strong set that needs to be paid attention to. Let's see if we can break this down a bit. I mainly want to focus on the new Blackwing support, but I do also want to take a look at these other two archetypes, or at least what we know of them so far. So for the first Blackwing I want to start by taking a look at is the new tuner that we're getting, Blackwing Vata the Knave. Gosh, that name is a level 2 dark attribute winged beast, so keeping in line with the Blackwing legacy, and it says if you control a Blackwing monster other than Blackwing Vata the Knave, you can special summon this card from your hand. You can only special summon Blackwing Vata the Knave once per turn this way. During your main phase, you can send this card on the field and one or more Blackwing non-tuners from your deck to the graveyard whose total levels exactly equal 8, and if you do, special summon one Black Winged Dragon from your extra deck. Also, you cannot special summon monsters from the extra deck for the rest of this turn except dark monsters. You can only use this effect of Blackwing Vata the Knave once per turn. This effect is actually really good. Essentially, you have to send this guy as well as one level 6 non-tutor monster to your grave, or multiple monsters as long as it all equals up to 8, and you get to summon one Blackwing Dragon just like that. Now, Blackwing Dragon is a card that I kind of have a few gripes with, and I mentioned this in my video previously, but firstly, because of how it's worded in its name, it's technically not a Blackwing card because it's written Black Winged rather than Blackwing. Now, this card can work both ways in both good and bad, but whatever. Its effect is pretty meh too, and I always felt, at least in my case, that this card is kind of situational. Like, you're usually not gonna bring this guy out as a priority compared to most of the other better Blackwing synchros that you have access to, but being able to get out a Blackwing Dragon for basically nothing is pretty nice. Coming up next is Blackwing Chinook the Snowstrike, a level 2 dark attribute winged beast, 100 attack and 700 defense, and it reads, you can send this card from your hand or field to the graveyard, then target one face-up monster your opponent controls. Send one Blackwing Synchro monster or Black Winged Dragon, there it is again, from your extra deck to the graveyard. And if you do, until the end of this turn, the targeted monster loses 700 attack. Also, the effects are negated. This is the quick effect if you control a dark synchro monster. You can only use the effect of Blackwing Chinook the Snowstrike once per turn. I think this is actually a pretty neat effect. Essentially, by moving either the Blackwing Dragon or any Blackwing synchro monster, you can debuff your opponent a bit, but you can also activate this as a quick effect if you already control a dark synchro monster. And it doesn't even say it has to be a dark attribute Blackwing or anything, but just any dark attribute synchro. It's nothing extra major, but I can see this card coming up or being splashed into other decks that are heavy on dark attribute synchro plays outside of just Blackwings. Very neat. And then up next is Blackwing Shamal of the Sandstorm, a level 4 dark winged beast tuner monster. Interesting. With 1600 attack, and it reads, you can send this card from your hand or field to the graveyard. Place one Black Feather Whirlwind from your deck face up in your spell and trap zone. If a Blackwing Synchro monster and or Blackwing Dragon is special summoned to your field while this card is in your graveyard, you can banish this card, then target one Blackwing monster in your graveyard, add it to your hand, then take 700 damage. You can only use each effect of Blackwing Shamal the Sandstorm once per turn. Okay, first of all, the combination of both this and already having something like Simoon, which allows you to get a Black Whirlwind onto the field, as well as this guy, which allows you to get a Black Feather Whirlwind, which we'll go over a little bit later, just makes the process of getting your Whirlwind plays onto the field like so much easier and faster. Secondly, when you special summon any Blackwing card or Blackwinged Dragon, again, this card has extremely awkward naming. I don't know why they did this with it. You can banish this card and target any one Blackwing monster in your grave and add it to your hand. And with Blackwing's ability to just special summon for free from the hand, this card will be helping out even well after it's left the field to extend your plays again. That's insane. If you already have Black Feather Whirlwind on the field, this can just get you another one. It can bring back any other Blackwing monster from your grave to your hand, and at the cost of only 700 life points? I will take that. This card is great, and I think this will definitely be seeing some play as an essential in any, if not all, Blackwing decks going forward. Next up, we have Blackwing Soothry, the Illusory Spark, and he reads, when this card is normal summoned, you can add one card that mentions Blackwinged Dragon from your deck to your hand, except Blackwing Soothry, the Illusory Spark. You can tribute one monster, special summon one Illusory Spark token, Winged Beast Tutor, Dark level 2 with 700 attack and 700 defense, then take 700 damage. You cannot special summon monsters from the extra deck the turn that you activate this effect, except synchro monsters. You can only use the effect of Blackwing Soothry, the Illusory Spark, once per turn. So there's a big plus in this card, and it's in that it can just produce a free token, a tutor token mind you, but at the cost of tributing one monster you control, which I don't think this is that bad, honestly, depending on what your game plan is, because some Blackwing cards you want in the grave. You do take 700 damage for this, and you are locked into only special summoning synchro monsters for the rest of your turn, so you do have to commit to that if you resolve this effect. There's also the fact that you can also add any card that mentions Blackwing Dragon from your deck to your hand, so it does look like they're really trying to make this card a little bit more useful and effective than it currently is, which is great because, yeah, this card is pretty awkward to bring out sometimes. But overall, I think this card is pretty decent, but it does have some downsides to it. And finally, the final main deck monster here is Blackwing Zonda, the Timely Knight. First of all, this card looks sick and has some very cool artwork. But its effect reads, you cannot special summon monsters from the extra deck except synchro monsters. You can only use one of the following effects of Blackwing Zonda, the Timely Knight per turn, and only once that turn. If this card is normal or special summon, you can target one monster on the field, return it to the hand. You can banish this card from your graveyard, special summon one level 5 or higher Blackwing monster from your hand or deck, then take damage equal to its attack. So those three effects are very good on their own, but it's that third effect that I want to give some attention to. Essentially, if this guy is in your grave, you can special summon a level 5 or higher Blackwing from your hand or deck. So if you can get this guy into your grave, you can essentially just pull something else out of your deck and put it onto the field. I can see some really nice plays being made with this, especially when you consider the number of level 5 or higher Blackwing cards that exist. And with Soothry that was just mentioned before, I feel like it definitely helps you make the plays a bit easier, and it's 2300 attack, which is really solid. You do have to take damage equal to whatever attack of the monster you choose to bring out, but honestly, I don't think that's the worst drawback for being able to do all of that. So that's all the main monsters being introduced in this set. Now, let's move on to the new extra deck synchro monsters because they look awesome. First up is Blackwinged Assault Dragon, and man, this card looks so cool. It's a level 10 dark attribute dragon synchro, and it requires one tuner synchro and one or more non-tuner monsters, and its effect reads, must be either synchro summoned or special summoned by banishing one tuner synchro monster and one Blackwing Dragon from your field and or graveyard. Each time your opponent activates a monster effect, place one black feather counter on this card immediately after it resolves, and if you do, inflict 700 damage to them. During your opponent's turn, quick effect, you can tribute this card with 4 or more black feather counters, destroy all cards on the field. To start, it has a very interesting summoning method in that it allows you to send both a tuner synchro monster as well as Blackwinged Dragon, who's usually bound to be in the grave after you play it initially, unless you're trying to just use it as a beat stick, but the sacrifice is necessary to bring out its better, upgraded version in this card right here. Also, every time your opponent activates monster effect, you can place a counter on this card that not only burns your opponent for 700 when you do, but when it hits 4 counters, you can just send it away to the grave, basically to just nuke their entire field, spells and traps included. I feel like this is a fear card because it's supposed to scare your opponent from going ham with all their effect activations, because once this guy accumulates that 4th counter, it's a wrap. And I love it! It's got 3200 attack and 2800 defense, which is really good. Also, this guy is essentially the new big boss for Blackwings. Well, one of the big boss cards. I still think that Full Armor Master is the definitive boss of the Blackwing archetype, but this archetype has, in my opinion, some of the best monsters in the game because you have cards that do almost everything in here, in my opinion. Well, at least I think it has the best, like, most well-rounded set of boss monsters in the game, I guess is more what I'm trying to say. And man, this card looks so freaking cool, yo. The other synchro that we're getting is Blackwing Boreas, the Evil Wind, and again, this looks so cool. They really went ham with the art of these new cards, and it really shows. This is a level 6 Dark Attribute Winged Beast Synchro Tuner monster, and its effect reads, when this card destroys a monster by battle and sends it to the graveyard, you can banish one Blackwing monster from your face-up field or graveyard. Special summon the destroyed monster to the field in defense position. You can only use each effect of Blackwing Boreas, the Evil Wind, once per turn. So because Blackwing is a big synchro climbing deck, this card makes it easier for you to do so by being able to change its level by sending a card to the grave to copy its level, and then depending on what you want your end board to be, climbing into the next big boss should be pretty easy. We have seen this sort of effect of level manipulation within the Blackwing archetype already, but having it in the form of a synchro monster is really cool. Also, when this card destroys a monster by battle, you can just banish a Blackwing to bring your opponent's monster back to your field. Boy, these are our monsters now. So that's it for all the new monsters that we're getting in this set. There's some pretty good keys for this deck, and I think they do their job great in being able to bring some new support to an already pretty good archetype. But what about the new spells and traps for support? Blackwings have always had a great range of spells and traps that help really accelerate your plays, so let's see what they have this time around. Coming up first are the spells, and we're leading off with Black Feather Whirlwind, or Black Feather Gust as it's known in the OCG, and this reads, once per turn, if you special summon a dark synchro monster from the extra deck, you can target one of your Blackwing monsters or Black-Winged Dragon with lower attack that is banished or in your graveyard. Special summon it. Once per turn, if a dark monster you control would be destroyed by battle or card effect, you can remove one Black Feather counter from your field instead. So this is a pretty cool effect. Every time you synchro summon your Blackwings from the extra deck, you can bring back any of your Blackwings or Blackwing Dragon back? That is very nice, and I like that they specifically state Black Winged Dragon too on most of these cards. You hear that? They're actually making you useful. You almost matter now. Now for the second effect, I'm assuming that these are the same counters that Blackwinged Assault Dragon is using, so that's actually really cool if that's the case, because if you don't know already, Blackwing Dragon over here also uses Black Feather counters, so if you have these available to you when this card is active, you can just use one of them as a free negate as long as you have counters available. I don't think this card is necessarily game changing for the archetype or anything like that, but I definitely think it'll see some use in these new updated Blackwing decks. Maybe not a heap, but it'll play its role. We are only getting one spell card, but I think it's okay for now. It does do a decent job in keeping support for the archetype, as it gives us a way to search out Blackwings in the grave and play them directly, which gives us an alternative to something like Sohaya the Rainstorm, which brings back an Assault Blackwing only. So this is very nice. Now moving into the new trap cards, up first is Black Shadow Squall, or Black Noble as it's called in the OCG. A counter trap card that reads, when a spell or trap card is activated, remove one Black Feather counter from your field, negate the activation, and if you do, destroy that card. And if you control Blackwing Dragon, you can set this card from your graveyard, but banish it when it leaves the field. You can only use one Black Shadow Squall effect per turn, and only once that turn. Now I am noticing a pattern with most, if not all of these cards, and it's that they're really trying to make you use that new level 10 Blackwing Assault Dragon and the Blackwing Dragon, who I agree is pretty underutilized in most of the Blackwing decks, but I do feel like it's being kind of forced in to use Blackwing Dragon to be able to get this card out easily from the grave, but I like that they're at least trying to give it as good support as they can. I don't hate this card, but it's always just felt kind of awkward to me. even in its own deck. The evolved and upgraded form is very cool, and I would definitely be trying to use the new Assault Dragon to its full advantage though, because that card is just so cool to me, so having it work in tandem with its former version will be pretty nice, especially with the different effects going off and with the counters and stuff, so definitely some room to experiment with there. And finally, for the last trap card and the last Blackwing support piece we're getting is Blackwing Twin Shadow. And this card says, if you control 2 or more Blackwing monsters, you can activate this card from your hand. Return 2 of your Blackwing monsters that are banished or in your graveyard to the deck and or extra deck. Special summon 1 Blackwing Synchro monster or Blackwinged Dragon from your extra deck whose levels exactly equal the total level of those monsters. Huh. This is treated as a synchro summon. You can only activate 1 Blackwing Twin Shadow per turn. I like that they're still keeping that tradition of making their trap cards hand traps if you already control Blackwings. I also think it's very interesting that this card allows you to synchro summon from the graveyard or banished monsters too. That's kind of wild to me because I don't think we have anything like that in this archetype that I know of the top of my head anyway. Again, I like that it mentions the Black Dragon there as well, and though I'm not 100% sure about this card's usability, I think I just need to kind of figure this one out a bit more, but it definitely has good potential. There's probably a few neat things that you can do with this in combination with some of your other Blackwings, so I can't wait to see. So there you have it, all the new Blackwing support that we know we're getting so far. A total of 10 new cards that we're getting. I'm super hyped for this set, and it's definitely in the running for my personal favorite set of the year for sure. I know Power of the Elements was the big meta shifting set of the year and all, but Blackwings are a deck that I've enjoyed playing so much, especially after having played them for a while now. I hate that it took me this long to actually give them a proper chance, but I'm happy that I did. I love this archetype and I'm really liking all this new support that it's getting. Do I think that it will propel Blackwings back up to the meta threat that they used to be? Probably not, but I definitely think the deck will soar and fly, and we'll be seeing some more play again, which is great. We're also getting lots of other new stuff in the set, which I didn't even mention, like the new Bysteed archetype that is continuing the branded Despia theme that's actually looking super strong already, as well as the Kshatrila archetype, I'm sure I butchered that name, which have some really cool origins and lore to them. I didn't get to go through all of them because I wanted to focus mainly on the new Blackwing stuff, but as more information is revealed on those closer to release, I'll be sure to keep up with them, but they are looking really cool. I'm especially interested in the Kshatrila archetype, so we'll see where it takes us. This set is also giving us some support for both sprites and Terra Elements, which is great because I've been trying out Terra Elements a bit. I was lucky enough to pull pretty much all of the cards in the archetype in my Power of the Elements boxes, so I'm keen to try that. New support will also be given to other new archetypes introduced in the Tactical Masters set. I've been especially interested in the Runic archetype. Man, we're getting so many cool things being added to the game, and I just want to try all of them. Overall, I think this set is looking extremely solid, and I feel like it's sort of flying under people's radars right now, but we'll see once we get closer to release just how much the set is going to do for the game. It is the final set of the year 2022, and it is set to release around this October. I can't wait to get my hands on this, and I'm planning on doing an unboxing on both my Twitch channel and on here too. In case you can't make it to that, because I don't do as many unboxings for YouTube as I'd like to, so I'm looking to change that, hopefully. Anyways guys, that'll be it for my thoughts on Darkwing Blast, and that'll be it for the video. I really hope you liked it. I don't cover set releases and news like this, but I made an exception for this one because I love the Blackwing archetype. But I'll see you guys around again soon. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys in the duel arena.